Hello everyone and welcome to this week's English commentary of a game that was played in 1991 between Grandmaster Yu Yuhua against黑龙江's Grandmaster um, Zhao Guorong. Both are very aggressive players and I personally like this match and the commentaries a lot. So again, I would like to thank Grandmaster Xiangqi and Master Yang Wenqing for giving me permission to use their material to make these videos. So without further ado, let us begin. Grandmaster Yu Hua started with the elephant opening, and black countered with the horse opening. Now, this is a very agile response whereby both colors would refuse to reveal whatever formation they will be preparing to use later on. This move gives a lot of versatility to black. Will keep red guessing. This was very popular in the 1990s and still continues to enjoy a certain degree of popularity today. And red chose a very targeted approach. This is another commonly used tactic when the opponent pushes the horse in one file. You would push the pawn in the same file as the horse to limit the development of the enemy horse and also allow for development of your own horse. Now another possibility would be to play p3 plus 1, and at this point in time black would forego development of his left flank but choose to develop his right flank, and this would lead to other various complications. Both are considered to be orthodox counters. And at this point, black finally decided to counter with the central cannon attack. Red chose to push this horse to since the cannon was moved over here. Red chose to move the horse on this flank to develop material on this flank to prepare for any possible development of material on black's left flank. And red chose to attack very aggressively, trying to form a blockade. So now it will be red's cannon and chariot, trying to pin or limit the movement of black's horse and chariot in the same flank. Now this is a very powerful blockade. Now, would h8 plus 7 be a possible option, whereby red would adopt the screen house defense? Now, black would immediately push his chariot to the riverbank, gain some space, offer trade of chariots. After trading chariots, and black would have a flexible formation that he can be satisfied with. At this point in time, red would still not have developed his other chariot, and although his formation is basically very stable, black's formation would also be very versatile, and there will be a lot of options for both colors to explore. So in the match, c2 plus 4 was played, whereby red chose an aggressive approach to the game. And at this point in time, black chose to trade his cannon for the red horse, which is usually frowned upon in opening theory because the cannon is usually much more versatile and in opening phase. But in this situation, this move is still okay because after trading material, black would develop his chariot and form a pin. So it will be black's one chariot pinning two of red's pieces, and this would slow down red's attack. And because the horse had been traded away, this chariot would now not be protected. So red would have qualms when attacking. But red did not slow down his attack and continued to push both cannons across the river to the pawn rank, the black's pawn rank. Now at this point in time, black needed to find some space to move his material and avoid the blockade, and he chose to play r8 equals to 1, r8 plus 1 to try to develop his chariot from the throat rank. Now this is a commonly used approach. Now red would not dare to capture the pawn, but instead he played r2 plus 1. Now the reason why black did not dare to capture the capture the pawn to deliver a check was that black could simply, for example, could counter with a check, and red would be in all sorts of trouble. So this is the reason why black did not, red, this is one of the reasons, one of the possibilities why red would not dare to move his, to capture the central pawn. Okay. Now in response to black's r8 plus 1, red also played r2 plus 1. Now, one of the threats that this chariot could make was to play r8 plus 2 to try to gain material. So in response, red will also do the same. If the chariot moved over here, red would also move r2 plus 8 and still threaten to gain material, and black would still be under lots of pressure. And at this point in time, black advances the pawn, which is another sound move. So if r8 plus 2 were played after trading material, black will now trap the red chariot and have the obvious advantage because the chariot cannot do anything away at this point in time. Now, c8 plus 9 is not a good idea because black will simply retreat the chariot and the cannon will be caught because it cannot retreat. It also capture it. Moved here, the elephant will capture it, or the cannon will also capture it. So that is why red would have to play c8 minus 8. Now, and red chose to attack with r8 plus 5. So this is still the 9th ply, and already things have already heated up on the board. Now, at this point in time, black made a questionable move, a dubious move that resulted in a dubious position. He retreated his horse. Now, the main idea was to be prepared to play p3 plus 1. Now, although this move did not lack in ingenuity, but it would appear to be redundant, and the resulting formation would be a dubious one, and black would plant the seeds for his demise. Now, it would also allow red to mount a very fierce and vicious attack. Instead, it would be advised for red to play p3 plus 1 immediately to try to threaten to capture the chariot. Red will be forced to play r8 equals to 7, capturing or trading material. Now c2 equals to 8 will be advocated. If r7 plus 2, black would push the pawn forward, threatening to gain material, and there is always h7 plus 5. For example, let's say if red retreated, there's always this move of threatening the chariot, whereby black will still push the pawn, etc., and there will be many possible tactical combinations for black to explore. So c2 equals to 8 to trade material. Now at this point in time, it will be red's 1, 2, 3 major pieces versus black's major pieces. Both colors would have its scruples. Red would have the slight pawn advantage, but this flank would be very vulnerable to attack, and the positioning of this chariot would not be ideal. So both colors would have its scruples. So p3 plus 1 would have been better instead of h7 minus 5. So red immediately advanced the cannon, threatening the chariot. This would put black in a dilemma, because no matter what black moved, he would have wasted one move so early in the opening phase. So black chose to play r8 plus 1. Again, black chose to increase his initiative as he jumped on this hard to come by chance. to attack. This was also he also demonstrated a very unusually keen sense of the board. Now, would black dare to capture the cannon? The answer will be no, because if he did, black would pin and limit the movement of this horse. The black horse would be trapped, and danger will lurk everywhere. One of the fastest way would be to play r2 equals to 4 for the checkmate. So black would be forced to defend. And at this point in time, you can see that after just a few moves, the positioning of red's material would be much better than black's, and red would have a significant advantage. Now, if r2 plus 3 were not played and black tried to defend with c5 equals to 6 instead, black would play r2 minus 2. He cannot let his guard down and play r2 equals to 4, because black would now offer a trade of material. Now this will resolve any potential situations, because this would be a trade of chariots. So if red chose to capture this chariot, he will lose this chariot, and if he moved this chariot away, he will lose this chariot. So this would be a trade of chariots, and black would have resolved any potential danger with this one move, and red's efforts will now have gone to naught, and red will instead be in trouble. So r2 minus 2 will be advocated. p7 plus 1 to prevent this move is very important. This would to prevent c2 equals to 3, whereby black would threaten to checkmate and thus lose his chariot. So to defend the horse, and at this point in time, it is very obvious that red would have a significant advantage. Red could continue with c2 equals to 3 or c2 equals to 4, whereby red would threaten to capture the advisor to checkmate. c2 equals to 3 would also be a threat to go for the smarted cannon checkmate, and all this was possible because of black's centroid horse, and that is one of the reasons why the centroid horse is usually frowned upon in the opening phase. So c5 equals to 6 would not be a good idea, and instead it would have been better for it would be better if black did not capture the cannon. So this is already in the early stages of the mid-game phase. So black chose to play h5 plus 7, again losing another move in the opening phase because the horse had retreated and advanced back to the same position. And red would protect his cannon in the nick of time, thus gaining more momentum, and it is obvious that red has a significant advantage at this point. Now black, at this point in time, black pushed p1 plus 1. Red's chariot had already attacked in a curvilinear fashion, and black charged the pawn at this point. This was a sort of a waiting move. The main idea behind this move was that black could have the option of playing h3 plus 1 to try to dislodge the red cannon and free himself from the blockade. Now a6 plus 5, which might be one of the natural moves, seemingly natural moves to make in this situation, would not be a good idea, because red has the option of playing r4 equals to 2 to offer the trade of material. Again, if black chose to trade material, the cannon would be now moved to this flank, and all of a sudden red would have 3 major pieces already concentrated attacking this very weak left flank of blacks, and red would have a significant advantage. So that is why a6 plus 5 is not advocated, and black was forced to play p1+1 to consolidate the defense. And black tried to free himself from blockade by offering his pawn as a sacrifice. Now, red would off. The main idea behind this move was that if red captured the pawn, he could make this move to threaten to capture the cannon and also capture the pawn, and thus gain a little bit of tempo in developing the horse. Now if the cannon capture it, red will lose his chariot, so that is why this is not a viable move. And this was what black was hoping for, hoping to develop at least a major piece to try to free himself from the blockade. But of course, red would have none of it, and instead he chose to play c8 equals to 6. And again, the pawn would be a major issue. Black would be forced to capture the pawn. He cannot allow the red pawn to cross the river under such a after the cannon had moved away. And this was a very clever move, because after playing a-ship plus 6, c8 equals to 6, sorry, black could now form a cannon pin on this file. Now at this point in time, black could play a4 plus 5, and red would now continue to attack in this manner. Now this was a very nice move, which showed great foresight and allowed red to concentrate material on this flank to attack. Now this would be a pseudo sacrifice in this instance. And with this move, red's attack would be pushed to another level. So red chose to accept, check, threatening to capture the cannon. And as can be seen by this time, although red had sacrificed a piece, but he would have captured an elephant in the process and also opened up black's defense. Moreover, red was prepared to gain back any lost material at any point in this at this point. Now, black could move his king to safety, a check, and a chariot fork, and after just about 10 plies, it is obvious that red would have the significant advantage. The black's defenses were not very well coordinated. Black's pawn advantage will be annihilated immediately. The horses will be still very slow in going across the river to be any major threat. So black tried to put up a fight, capturing the pawn. And since red had the offensive, it was common sense that he would refuse to trade material and keep his firepower at this level. Black tried to protect the pawn, and red captured the elephant, offering a trade of chariots, hoping to. Black was now trying his best to trade material to decrease any advantages that red would have. And of course, red would refuse to trade chariots because his piece-kind combination would be much better than black's. Now these were moves that showed the mark of an experienced player. Okay, black retreated his horse. The red horse was now ready to go. After capturing the elephant, there was nothing to protect this pawn. And as can be seen, Red will now enjoy a pawn advantage, a full guard. And Black tried to even the pawn advantage, a check, and a very nice move by Red. As there were many, this Red would now threaten to checkmate with h3 plus 4. Since Red had the advantage, he still played very carefully, refusing to let this advantage get to his head. So now, if he chose to play a6 plus 5, check, check, capturing the advisor, check. Black would capture the cannon, check. Red can be sure of victory. So that Black cannot make this move of playing a6 plus 5 to defend against the pale corner cannon, pale corner horse, sorry. Instead, he defended with h7 minus 6. Red continued mercilessly and retreated his chariot to this very nice position, offering a trade of material. Now, this would basically mark the end of mark the start of Red's final onslaught, because this was a very precise move. He was not afraid of Black capturing the cannon, because there was always, if let's say Black captured the cannon, check, the advisor can move, and Black would lose the chariot. So instead, with this move, Red would now gain more material. And even though Black tried to be very tenacious, but basically Black would lose one piece, and that would mark the start of the endgame. Okay, so the final attack by Red, check. Again, cleverly offering the chariot. If the chariot captured, Red would play c6 equals to 4 to checkmate. Another move to offer the chariot. Check, 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 check again. And as can be seen, within a few moves, Red had already torn apart Black's defense, and by retreating the cannon will now be protected, and also Red would have the option of playing c6 goes to 4. Black tried to prevent c6 goes to 4 with this move. Check, check. And at this point in time, Black thought that the situation was hopeless, and decided to call it a day. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.